Hello, welcome to another interview for the Leader Campus. And this time it's going to be with Colonel Jill Morgenthaler. And Colonel Morgenthaler is the author of a book called The Courage to Take Command. She has won two humanitarian awards as well in the 25 years she served in the military, and a Bronze Star in the Legion of Merit, and has been stationed at times in Bosnia and Iraq. I don't know if you've been anywhere else or not, but you were at the DMZ, which has gotten to be kind of an important place to be right now, or maybe not so important. That
Yes.
depends on your viewpoint. But so I thank you very much for consenting to the interview, and would like to start you out with a question called in which I say, what do you think describes a good leader, good leadership?
To me, good leadership begins when the person who wishes to lead reaches out and respects every individual who he or she is serving with. You can't demand respect, you have to earn it. And to me, the best way to earn it is to actually show it, demonstrate that you understand that everyone comes with gifts and talents, and everyone should be respected.
Okay. What changes do you see with women leaders coming more forward in the military?
Well, the nice thing is, when I was a brigade commander, one day, I guess one of the young male soldiers said to his mother, I hope Colonel Morgenthaler doesn't want to bring her children to our wedding. And the mother went, "What? Why didn't I know that?" And he was like, "So what?" And that was really cool,
Huh.
because, in the past, people were fighting. They didn't want to serve with a woman. And then luckily through the years, you hang in there and you do your job, and do your job harder sometimes than others. And then eventually it pays off.
Well, that's a follow-up question then. You had mentioned once before in another interview that you believe women have to work twice as hard for half the recognition. Do you find that still as much of a situation today within the military complex?
Yes. When I talk to other women, whether it's in the military or other male traditional roles, they're telling me they still have to work harder than men at the beginning to prove themselves, to overcome any stereotypes or, social background that somebody might bring. But the good news is it is recognized. So later on in your career, people will sit up and go, "Oh my gosh, she's such a hard worker, such initiative, such problem solving." So it pays off in the end to go ahead and work harder.
Now, what do you see? You spent some time also in the political realm there in Illinois. You're in Chicago. What do you see is a difference between political leadership and military leadership?
Well, military leadership is very well defined. It's very hierarchical. You wear your rank. Everyone knows that you're, what position you are, what rank you have. And that actually helped me.
There we go.
In politics, there should be respect. And unfortunately, what we're seeing right now in America is a lot of disrespect to each other. Instead of, treat someone the way you want to be treated, we're turning people into enemies, and yet we're all here. We're all Americans, and that.
How important are leadership credentials in the military and in the politics? Because, like I said before, you served a little bit in political realm in Illinois.
Well, the thing about the military, it's very clear cut as an officer. You command. And then your next assignment, you're a staff officer where you support a commander. And then if you're good, you get another command. And then you end up being a staff officer at a higher rank, at a higher level for a higher ranking officer, and then you command again. And it's very clear cut. In politics, it's not that easy. You've got people stepping in who are coming into government, who have never been in government. And sometimes they believe that, well, I've got great business skills. That translates. Some of the skills translate, some don't. Government is not a money-making venture. And so we have watched some political leaders fail because they don't understand that in a lot of ways it's an organization there to support, not to make a profit.
Yeah.
And that's different leadership skills.
And so going back to your book then, what do you mean by courage to take command?
One thing is it's stepping forward, and it's truly acknowledging that the buck stops with you. That when you command, you push the praise out to everybody. But the blame of things going wrong eventually end up with you. And that takes courage to say, yes, I acknowledge that we are going to do the best we can. And if we fail, a big part of that is probably due to me instead of that blame game. And that takes courage.
How much authenticity, how authentic can you be as a colonel in the military, or how authentic can you be as any kind of leader within the military?
Well, when I was not authentic, I did not do well. At boot camp, I tried to be one of the guys. You know, if they swore, I swore. If they told dirty jokes, I told dirty jokes. And it wasn't working. And I just realized one day, you know what? I'm good enough as it is. The good thing is about leadership, you don't have to be a certain kind of person. You don't have to be an extrovert over an introvert. You don't have to be an A personality over a B personality. What you need to do, though, is to demonstrate respect, to follow through. And as we say in the military, you put mission first and people always. And when you watch others' backs, they watch yours. And so you can be an authentic leader that way.
Another point then, we have a question on the Leader Campus right now from a lady who talks about fear. So what do you think of fear as a part of leadership?
Well, it's funny. I was a very fearful child, so nobody would have ever guessed I would have ended up being a colonel in the Army. That's for sure. What I find with fear is often a warning that you've got to be careful. You've got to put extra things in place. You've got to make sure there's procedures and security processes there. So to me, fear is a wonderful warning system of this isn't our usual day. Do not be complacent. Be on high alert. And then what courage is, of course, it's not the lack of fear. Courage is doing your job regardless of the fear.
Well, I want to thank you very much for the interview, Colonel Jill Morgenthaler, and your book again, The Courage to Take Command, a Bronze Star recipient and the Legion of Merit, and also with humanitarian awards as well. So I want to thank you for your time. And what else? How can we obtain your book? Is there any special address or any place to go to?
Yes, if you go to my website, www.coloneljill.com, links to my book. I have a free newsletter on leadership every month. I also have a TED Talk, Fake It Till You Make It, which is a real leadership technique for young people.
Well, just last then, instead of tying it all together, since you mentioned this fake it until you make it, something that your father, as I understand it, from an interview you did before, your father had pointed out. How can a person fake it until they make it?
Well, you have to have the confidence to know that you can do the job. And then you reach out, you find the mentor, you find the information. If you have the time, you find the training. But the big thing is to set steps forward and say, I'll give it a try. I'll do my best. Because we're not prepared to do everything, but we can sure learn how to do a lot.
Is mentorship important in the military as well as in private practice or business?
Yes. I mean, one reason I believe I was a success in the Army is I had my father, a Marine officer, as a mentor, but I had some wonderful sergeants and other officers who taught me a lot. And one of the things I learned was to admit when I didn't know. and let those who knew to step in, and I shut up and listen and learn.
Well, thank you again so much for your time. I appreciate it. Colonel Jill Morgenthaler, and thank you again for your interview.
You're welcome. Thank you. Ooh.
Ooh,